I'm now recording. So just to give you a recap, you're just going to give us a brief recap of what it is you spoke, and then you're going to open us up to words or questions.
All right, so I was giving a speech about China and the war we're currently in with China. There's a couple reasons why I believe we're in a hot war with China. First of all, they're pouring in a lot of drugs into our nation because of the coronavirus. There's been less drugs, so now we know that China is the one supplying them to Mexico, and Mexico is putting them into our country. We've asked them to stop, haven't. It's a big problem. It's killing lots of people. That's one of the issues. Another issue is that they're attacking us emotionally, and through this coronavirus especially, like they have pretty much entirely caused the coronavirus to exist because of their pride, basically. Like they kept the coronavirus from the doctors. They kept doctors from communicating with each other, and they kept people from spreading awareness of this potential problem. So the reason we're in this situation now is because China didn't want anyone to know about it until it got too big. It's a huge problem. The last reason why we are at war with China is because economically, they are holding our market back. They are the things that they believe in prevent the things that we believe in from being produced in America. So they are stifling what we can do because people want to make money, and there's a huge marketplace in China. So I think it's a big problem. It's a huge conflict of priorities, and we need to change that. So yeah, does anyone have any questions? Josh, I see your hand first.
All right, wonderful. I remember during your speech that when you were talking about the birth of the coronavirus, you mentioned something called the Chinese wet markets. Could you better describe to me what those Chinese wet markets actually are?
All right, so the Chinese wet markets are um, it's basically a cesspool of a bunch of living animals who are they're spread out, and people go and they buy what they pick their animal, they buy it. And the problem with these markets are they are a breeding ground for serious diseases. Coronavirus, people believe coronavirus came from the wet markets, and it's just a dirty, disgusting place that um, is the reason why we have such terrible diseases. All of the fluids from the animals are mixing onto each other. They're layered on top of each other. It's not sanitary. It's dangerous, and it's problematic.
Thank you.
Brandon?
You've discussed the drugs into Mexico and the war with China. Are those two connected, would you say, in that? And with that, is China pouring drugs into other countries, or is it just looking like Mexico?
Okay, so one of the reasons why it's China and not like just China, like corporations in China, it's because the Chinese government's actually the one supplying the like the fentanyl and like opiate, like broken down parts that they make into like meth or whatever. So yeah, it's actually, I believe China's supplying these drugs to a lot of countries, but especially they're supplying them to Mexico, which is really dangerous because we've told China this is not okay. We have Americans dying. You need to stop doing this. They're like, okay, we'll stop doing this. They didn't stop. They're continuing to do this. And we know that these drugs are coming from China. And they're not like, that's the only source that's causing all these problems. So if China could just stop with all that, then we wouldn't have this issue, but they won't. So there's something that needs to be done about that.
Thank you very much.
Christian, I see your hand.
Yes. Do you think that in the future there will be a way where tensions between the U.S. and China can just ease up or just stop altogether?
I would hope so. I don't have the answers for that, but I don't have a path for that. I think that what needs to happen is America needs to separate themselves right now from the Chinese marketplace, and because we're so reliant on them. They supply like 90% of the drugs or something, and like medicines, like ibuprofen, all that is made in China. So much is made in China. You go to Walmart, like everything's made in China. So we need to stop being so reliant on them. And I feel like then they could have more respect for us and treat us more fairly and listen to what our concerns are, because they haven't been. And until that happens, until they respect us as a country, we won't be able to be seeing eye to eye.
Thank you.
William, I see your hand.
All right. So I'm not accusing you of this, but I know with a lot of news about China in the news recently, there was a lot of fake news and fear mongering going around. So I guess just how do you know how you separate what is true from what is not, and how do you also not play into that fear mongering of us trying to get people all hyped up based on fear and whatnot? How do you know, like, how do you report the truth?
Well, I know that first of all, it's not questionable whether the flu comes from China. That's a known thing. Yes, there's a lot of fear mongering, a lot of lies, a lot of fake news. But what's important is where the information is coming from. What is that information's biases? You have to critically think about everything you hear. You can't just accept things as fact. So, like if you're reading something from Fox News, it's gonna have a conservative slant. If you're reading something from CNN, it's gonna have a liberal slant. You just have to make sure you're aware of those things and not just blindly accept things. And also, like, I remember another important thing to keep in mind is when you hear the same story from credible sources, it's more likely something's going on there than not. Like, for example, the Kim Jong-un thing, where a lot of people are reporting he hasn't been seen in a long time. We don't know what's going on, but he looks like he's in unstable condition. A lot of people are reporting on that. It's probably going on. We don't know if he's dead. We don't know what's going on, but we know for sure something's going on. So yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody? You have a question?
So you're saying that China has a pretty heavy impact within dealing with the coronavirus today. What would you say China's impact on having coronavirus is in the U.S.?
Like you talking about like the reason, or you saying like why are they responsible for it?
I mean, not just globally, but how are they responsible specifically towards the U.S. For the coronavirus being so heavily impacted here?
Well, it's just a matter of they weren't trying to eliminate the virus. They weren't trying to contain the virus. They had so many opportunities. I think the first doctor who was like, I just saw this terrible disease, this new thing I've never seen before in November. And when he tried to communicate that he saw that on, like, because they have really restricted like internet stuff. So there's like this, it's like their version of the WhatsApp. He was trying to communicate, oh, I just saw this thing. And once the Chinese government found that was a potential problem, they censored any word that had to do with virus, failed leadership, censorship, anything like that. They took it off of the chat. So when you would send a text with any of those flagged words, it would just not send to the person that was supposed to receive it. So they blocked awareness. And that is why, like, I mean, it affects every single country because of that. Like, America is just one of the many countries that are so plagued with this disease right now. And it's because China was too afraid to have people be free to information and be able to communicate of a potential danger.
So my question, Ethan, is in regard to the situation that happened during the preseason when there were NBA teams, specifically the LA Lakers, they were in China, and the Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey had tweeted out his support of the Hong Kong people who he was saying was being oppressed by the Chinese government. And some people, including LeBron James, said he misspoke and he was stupid, he was unaware. But it really came out that what he had said wasn't necessarily bad in and of itself, but most of the critique of what he said was based upon fear of economic reprisals because of how big the NBA was in China. So the NBA stopped showing some games for a while and stuff like that. and it caused the NBA to have to take a step back because of the power they held. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a good thing? Do you think we are setting ourselves up? Should we be so tied to another country in terms of economic power that we aren't able to critique or speak out in any way?
Yeah, absolutely not. This is a serious problem, I feel like, that our country is gonna have to tackle. There is a serious danger when you are preventing people from speaking out about what they feel is wrong because of monetary gain. And I feel um like the truth is the truth, regardless of how much money is at stake. And people need to like accept that China is going to try to do everything in their power to control the narrative, but we have to do everything in our power to not let that affect what we do and how we make decisions. And I feel like in the future, there's going to be a lot more of that. The NBA, people cracking down, they're trying to make as much money as possible. But I don't know, like I think the best way to combat that is to just not even take into consideration the money that could be made in China and focus on everything else, because I feel like the truth is more important than how much money you can make.
All right. So that concludes Ethan's Q&A. So now we're going to shift to Brother Ray, and he's going to conclude with his oral interp, and then we're going to wrap things up. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
All right. So Ray, just tell us what song you chose, and then you can get the rocking and rolling. Like what's the title and who it's by?
So the title of it is The Greatest, and it's by I guess songwriter James Blunt. So I'll be reading that, or not reading it, but presenting that.
All right, so you can rock and roll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Too much to say, too much to lose. I get frustrated thinking about the world I brought you to. It's a battle of time that I have with you. But don't decide the how, the when, or if we'll make it through. I feel that you deserve a chance to know the truth and to be better than the one who came before you, only to let pride and money weaken them. So be the young, the brave, the powerful. Because the world is standing waiting for someone to come and change it. Yeah, be the young, the brave, the powerful. Because we need someone to save us. We need someone to be the greatest. So many words veiling the truth. The others turning around, and it's time for us to choose. And people will try to take you down too. But if I was a betting man, I'd put all my money on you. So be the young, be the brave, and be the powerful. Because we need someone to save us. We need someone to be the greatest. Because someone to be the greatest, we need someone to be the bravest. So be the young, be the brave, and be the powerful. Because we need someone to be the greatest love. Thank you.
All right, who would like to give, let's just conclude by giving Brother Ray some feedback. Yes. All right, Brandon.
All right. I haven't heard that song before, but I enjoyed the way you spoke of it. It sounded like sounded like a motivational speech in a sense. It sounded like you were uplifting us, trying to remind us of who we are and that there are people for us to be better than, to help them, you know? I may be wording this horribly, but I thought you did an excellent job with that one.
And going off what Brandon said, I really thought that it sounded like a motivational speech kind of song. There was a lot of emotion in there, but I feel like you could have drove it home even more with like a little more emphasis on some of those phrases, like like the powerful, like those were really emotional lyrics. I appreciated your delivery, but I felt like you could have had a little more like oomph to it. I mean, but it was good.
Uh, could you possibly sing it for us right now? The song itself sounds, because that'll be a large portion of my judgment based on how much you made that your own. Are you up for it? You don't have to. I'm
No,
just asking.
I'm not really good at singing at all. So
No, that's okay. I'll just listen to it
He's like,
then.
I could sing it, but then you may be more confused.
Right. But in that regard, yes, depending on how much you made that speech your own, it sounded very interesting. Perhaps a little bit better flow to flow would have been required, but overall, I think you hit most of the emphasis. Again, I think Ethan is right. Like, you could have really hit like the young, the strong, the powerful, right? Or something like that. But that's just me. So I thought you did a good job.
Chris,
Maybe like, because I like what Brandon said, I don't even know that song. So maybe, so like, honestly, if you could have like a little bit more body language and, as what Ethan said, a little more emphasis, it'd be much better. But apart from all that, but apart from all those couple things, it was a really good song. Nice job.
I will wrap it up. Yeah, I feel like I'm just kind of going to agree with everyone else, but I'm going to leave it on a really good note. I think you have like, when people like, there are voices where people are like, that person should be a narrator. I get that vibe out of you, Ray. Like, your voice is meant to like read an audiobook. How to sing that? Yeah, like I get there could have been cases where there could have been more, but I do feel like you did a really good job overall.
Is it? All right, gentlemen. As I announced during the earlier part of the class, all of your grades will be in. The plan is this weekend, so late Saturday, early Sunday. So you'll know exactly what you got throughout the class. Other than that, I think you've all, hopefully, as we have already shared, I've seen growth in you all. The key is, since this is such a vital part of life, it can't simply be, well, until the next class, because if Bethel doesn't offer another class, maybe you're not going to take another class, but life is a class. So every opportunity you get, try to take advantage of opportunities to do public speaking, because the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And tape yourselves, have people give you feedback. So the same things you learned in this class and the same thing you were able to do in this class, apply that to everyday life. Get feedback from your classmates, your family members, get feedback from friends. Take advantage of every public speaking opportunity. And whenever you have an opportunity, see it as just that. Don't be like, well, they've only invited me to speak for 5 minutes. It's a low pressure situation. No, anytime they invite you to speak, treat it as if you're getting paid and this is your big break. Always have that same mentality. So I also want to encourage you to finish up strong in all your other classes, the finals and papers and projects. And most importantly, just be safe once they start to lift some of this travel stuff. Just still continue to use wisdom. And if you ever need anything over the summer break, don't hesitate to email Christian. He can help you out. Or you can email me too. And, I'd love to keep tabs on you all to see how you're all doing. Other than that, any questions, comments, closing questions, comments?
So I already did. So do I still got to upload a video? Because I mean, if I upload a video, it's gonna be different than what I said on here.
That's
so.
fine. I still want a video, yes.
Okay.
I'm great in the video. As good as what you did today, I'm great in the video. So if you want me to upload a grade, I mean, yeah, you might. Good question. Any others? Okay.
I just want to say real quick that I think that this class was really useful, and I think there's a lot of like applicable life skills in this class. So thank you for sharing some of this cool stuff.
My pleasure. And that's the key. Apply it to life. Don't let it stay in the classroom. I want to hear from you all years from now. Hey, at my job, we had a presentation. We had this client, and I had to present to this client. Now this guy's $1 million contract because I did this presentation. Just give me 10%. That's all I need is 10%. I'm good. Well, y'all be easy. Peace.
Take it easy.
Later, y'all.
Later.
I'm gonna make sure. Okay, yes.